Hello, everyone. Welcome to this podcast about the Bach Choir's performance of The World Imagined by Gabriel Jackson on May the 25th at the Festival Hall with the Philharmonia Orchestra. And it's my huge pleasure to be welcoming Gabriel, who's a very good friend. Welcome, Gabriel, to talk about this work. Which actually, let me begin by saying it kind of filled my life for a few months, which was a good thing, by the way. I really loved it for the Three Choirs Festival. And of course, it was a co-commission. So could you tell us a little bit about it?
Well, that's very kind, David. Yes, it was originally commissioned by the Three Choirs Festival, and also co-commissioned by the Elgin Master Chorale, which is a symphonic chorus in Elgin, Illinois, and they did the US premiere last year, so like a year after you premiered it at the Three Choirs. Of course, like most other things, it was originally supposed to happen the year before. It did at the festival, and there was all sorts of stuff, wasn't there, about kind of, whether was it going to be possible to do it even the following year and whatever. But it came together brilliantly, and well, thanks to you, David, and the lovely people at the Three Choirs as well.
And what I loved about this, Gabriel, as someone who's done a lot of your music over the years, and really, you're a great artist, is the scale at which you were operating on this was quite a different one than I'd previously known. And how did you sort of go about that? Because if I could put it in the kind of a context, the choral writing is wonderfully, if they can have encouraging, if I could put it like that, to amateur choirs to be able to take on. Challenging, yes, but easily doable. Where a lot of your choral music is actually, quite tricky, but correctly tricky. And of course, this vastness of the orchestra. So tell us a little bit how you came about that, and also the texts which you incorporated into it.
I think that well, the first thing is I would say is I think it's very, very important. Whoever you're writing for, whether they are kind of brilliant professionals or amateurs or anything in between, to write stuff that's within their capabilities, but also that actually is going to give them something to think about and give them something to, to work on. And it's terrible. I think it's terrible to patronize people by writing stuff, really, really, really simple. That I mean, in terms of a piece of this scale and this size, I mean, I suppose I kind of got a bit. Bored isn't quite the right word, but I kind of felt that I kind of more or less done everything that one could want to do in terms of kind of smaller a cappella or chord things. And I thought, actually I want to do stuff with on a bigger scale, with with instruments, with ensembles, big longer durations and stuff. So I actually went to the Three Choirs and said, look, I really fancy doing something on this scale, and would you like to commission it? And they very kindly said, yes, we would.
I'm just going to chip in here, if you don't mind. Is that when I conducted the orchestral rehearsal, at which of course you were present, what was lovely to behold were top class instrumentalists. I mean, one world class orchestra in the Philharmonia, just absolutely nailing it pretty well immediately, but actually also with total and absolute support for everything you'd written. And I think that, dare I say, as someone who's done a lot of new works, even with orchestras, certainly for choirs, without anyone questioning things, it was really a smooth process. And I think that's probably great credit actually to you and the way you've written it, that it makes, of course it's challenging for the orchestra, but actually they didn't mind that because they felt it was correctly challenging. And that was the wonderful thing about it. So my next question really is about just a little bit more about the text. So you kind of incorporated into this, and just what because I know you being very text driven as a choral composer, you take these things very, very seriously. So how did you go about that?
Um, well, actually, I think with anything that's kind of on a kind of large scale, multi-movement or whatever, or with quite a long duration. I always kind of like think first of all, and that was very much the case with the World Imagined, about actually what kind of piece do I want it to do I want this to be? Uh, how many kind of movements, what's the relative weight of one to another, and actually and then start looking for the right text to facilitate writing the kind of piece that I want to do. So the first thing in this case was the 5 movement structure, with the penultimate movement being the longest. I think that probably I may have kind of inherited that, or got that from Howell's Hymnus Paradisi, because I think that has a similar shape. And then it's a question of just kind of looking around for things. I mean, I have a collection of texts that I've kind of encountered over the years, which I think, oh, that could be useful at some point, or there may be at some point an opportunity to set that. And actually, the middle bit of the 4th movement, the solo tenor setting of that amazing Kenneth White poem. This is the summit of contemplation, and no art shall touch it. I mean, I'd had that of sitting around for years and thinking, and so that was one of the first things that I thought was this. Actually, that could really work at exactly that point, in that movement. And another thing that I always like, David, in a something kind of big, is that I kind of like quite different texts of different from different periods, often different languages. Although, of course, in this instance, we've only just got English. Everything's in English apart from one little bit of Latin. But so I just, so and of course here we've got the Doris Karova poem, that's Estonian poet who I've set quite a few times before. And then we're starting off with the Samuel Harnagid thing from over 1,000 years ago, and then the Leopardi from the Renaissance, and finishing with Wallace Stevens, who died, I don't know, about 20, 30 years ago. And then of course 19th century Walt Whitman. So and I really like that kind of spread of time periods. It just gives you something a bit more to go on.
And of course Latin hymn by St Ambrose, isn't there? I mean, there's just juxtaposition of all these different things. I'm just wondering, this is a difficult question, so just take your time. I just wonder whether I don't know what you feel, but we're in a sort of funny place in the world at the moment, aren't we? And that you've given it a title, The World Imagined. And do you think there is a sort of underlying sort of message here that people we might want to just at least push out in some way or other through this art that you've given us, this great work?
The World Imagined itself, of course, is a line from the final movement from the Wallace Stevens poem. I mean, I think actually the last 3 lines, actually of the piece, are actually kind of in a way perhaps the most important, I think, but about we make a dwelling in the evening air, in which being here together is enough. It kind of, I think that's kind of, that is important, particularly I think at the moment, and also of course I guess rather prophetically, very important, kind of with COVID and everything. It's kind of, it was had an additional resonance, I think, those lines.
I sensed when we were doing it that there was this inexorable move, if you like, through the work towards this final movement, and this, as you just described it, this almost sort of prophetic kind of conclusion, which is very moving actually. And are you looking forward to hearing it being done in London with?
Yeah, I'm massively excited. I think it's going to be absolutely fantastic. I mean, it's always nice to hear things again, but no, I think it's going to be absolutely great, and I hope lots and lots of other people will share that view and buy tickets.
Yeah, we need to get this out to everyone. It's a piece that everyone needs to hear. Well, Gabriel, you very kindly did the Bach Choir a piece in lockdown in 2021 called The Promise, and it was then linked to a film. And actually, we did it in the festival hall live, didn't we, with the film?
Which was fantastic.
And we really appreciated
That
that.
film's won loads and loads of awards as well, hasn't it? I mean, it's brilliant to be part of that.
Yeah, yeah, and we thank you for that, because it kept the Bach Choir busy during those difficult weeks and months when everything was on Zoom, but it all came to fruition. And wasn't that exciting when that concert happened just very early on in post-COVID times? And
Brilliant. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. As you say, at the time that it was when that concert happened, actually to see pretty much a full festival hall, because that was really kind of quite early, wasn't it, in terms of where we were in terms of kind of moving out of the pandemic and all those restrictions and stuff which were on everybody. So that was so it'd be fantastic if we have a similarly full audience for this, will it not, David?
Let's just hope, and we want
Yeah.
to come and hear this. So currently, Gabriel, what are you actually working on?
At the moment, I'm doing another large-scale piece for Merton College, Oxford. It's not a large orchestra or anything. It's a sort of ensemble of about 12, but it's about an hour long for their choir and an ensemble, and actually with also a role for their Merton girls' choir. And it's Christmas, so it's for Christmas this year, but it's actually in 4 parts. So it's Christmas. Sorry, it's Advent, Christmas, Epiphany, and Candlemas. So that's what I'm doing at the moment, which is kind of fun because voices and instruments are good. I like it.
Wonderful. Yeah, I mean, it's a great combination, huh? Particularly for something that's Christmassy, and we need some more works of Christmas actually that encompass instruments as well as voices. That sounds wonderful. This work, The World Imagined, we're really looking forward to, and it's part of a program, folks, which is in the first half very French. It's got the amazing composer Lily Boulanger, who was taken so young in life. She was a genius composer. And she's done a setting of a Buddhist prayer, which we're going to be doing with an enormous orchestration. And
So it's a bigger orchestra than mine.
Bigger orchestra than yours, yes.
Okay, well that makes me feel a little bit less guilty now about
no, actually,
I think demands for lots of players.
Let's put it here that you demanded a lot of percussion, but she demands quite a lot of percussion, but quite a lot of everything else as well. So and then we're doing and then Phil Scriven, our wonderful organist, is going to be playing the Poulenc organ concerto on the amazing festival hall organ, and then prelude to the afternoon of the faune, l'après-midi d'un faune of Debussy, very kind of French the start of the program. And I just think that we're going to be led through this into the sound world that Gabriel has produced, which will then also be allowing us to be asking ourselves questions about where we are, what is it we're here for, what do we believe in, and so on, and as humanity, really. And so it's a piece that everyone should hear. And it's on May the 25th at the Festival Hall with the Bach Choir, the Philharmonia Orchestra, Ben Hewlett singing tenor, and we look forward to seeing you there then. Thank you very much.